Don't plan to play any Magic at Gen Con, though, because there aren't any relevant Magic tournaments at Gen Con. Which seems like a punt, but, you know, Wizards makes Wizards decisions. This hand's kind of mediocre. It's hard to pass up, like, lands and mana dorks, though. It just needs an Ascendancy. Yeah, we're definitely starting with PO, Nivik. We're gonna do that very first thing this evening. So about 8:30, we'll start with it. It's actually one of our better hands against, like, an interactive deck. Because it's pretty redundant. It's got silence to help beat counter spells. No, I don't really play limited. Yeah. Yeah, limited isn't my thing. Burn's a tough matchup for this deck. Eidolon is very good against us. We play 7 copies of Jeskai Ascendancy Firespoon. If you look, there are 4 copies of Glittering Wish in our deck. And Glittering Wish lets you fetch Jeskai Ascendancy from the sideboard. I actually don't think that's true, Furious Squirrel. I think this deck's very good and can play through a lot of disruption. I think it's a lot like Eggs in that it's very competitive in a reasonable deck, but people just don't play it because it's hard to play and it's kind of tedious. No, this hand's not doing it. Not doing it any solids. I think I'm gonna hold this Fatestitcher in my hand for the time being. Need cards to discard once we find the Ascendancy. Opponent stuck on 1 land means we might be able to steal this game. If we draw an Ascendancy or a Glittering Wish, we can start comboing very quickly. I actually think the way the format's come back around, if you look at my data article about the recent Modern metagame, like, the format's gotten more linear. Like, a majority of the successful decks are aggressive right now. So, like, this deck's really good at racing other aggressive decks by and large. At least, especially non-burn aggressive decks. Eidolon's a beating, but the non-Eidolon decks you're pretty good against. Deck also plays a bunch of cantrips. Usually it's pretty consistent. There's a Jeskai Ascendancy. So can we start going this turn? I think we can start going. So I get to put this on top. I'm gonna have to play a land anyway, so might as well play this. Then I'm gonna play this here, which draws Jeskai Ascendancy. There needs to be a spell under the Jeskai Ascendancy here for us to fully be able to go off. I guess actually what I'm gonna do here is, because this is game 1 and my opponent definitely can't interact with my Ascendancy, I'm going to just pass the turn to my opponent, and during their upkeep, I'm going to silence them. Because that gives me more draws, and it gives me a brick wall of creatures that they can't attack through. No, silence doesn't draw a card. Yeah, so we're just gonna upkeep silence them. That should make sure we don't die this turn, so it'll untap all my creatures. Just like using silence as the good Lord intended. And look at that, we would have drawn a brick and died last turn, so. My wife apparently locked herself out. You have a garage door opener.
I can't want me to get a sandwich from one?
Yes, please. Oh. We could brick and die here. Could certainly brick and die here. Spell, please. Cantrip. 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 If we draw a cantrip, we have a very good chance of winning the game. If we don't draw a cantrip, we're probably going to die. Especially since they hit the second land. Our deck has a lot of cantrips in it, though. Has a lot of cantrips. All right, and we're dead. Good beat. I assume we're good here. So it's actually worth noting that I swapped a copy of Opt for these silences in the main deck before I started this league. So like if I would have had copies of Opt in my deck, like if that had been an Opt, I would have been able to scry through some of this, then potentially won this game here. I assume we're dead here. I assume they're just gonna go bump me. Yeah, third land should definitely mean dead. Am I not dead? Do I get another shot here? Whoa. Whoa, come on, come on. Cantrip. Cantrip means we're in this next turn, chat. Come on. We've run so bad so far. Just give me a cantrip. Give me a cantrip. You're gonna draw another land in our 16 land deck and die? I hate this game sometimes. Just much lower variance than Hearthstone. Ugh, that's so frustrating. Wow, that's really, them's the beats sometimes. Them's the beats. All right, Path and Abrupt Decay. So this matchup's hard enough that I do kind of a weird board plan with it. I actually board out the Glittering Wishes and board in the extra Ascendancy, just because you generally don't have time to use Glittering Wish in this matchup, because they'll just kill you. Leyline and Path and Decay, we need ways to kill Eidolon. Am I trimming Noble Hierarch? Maybe? It's been a little while since I played this. I need to cut more stuff. What else am I trimming? Probably those. Probably an Opt and Cerulean Wisps. No, Caryatid is the best card in our deck. You should never, ever board out Sylvan Caryatid. It is a mana creature that they can't take off the table. Fatestitcher isn't 4 mana, it's 1 mana to unearth it and bring it back from your discard pile. That's why it's in our deck. Oh yeah, I should probably board in. Actually, what I should do is I should leave the Wear Tear in the sideboard, and I should leave 1 Glittering Wish in probably. Yep. And after flooding and dying, I'm sure we'll just miss a second land drop looking at 6 cards and die here. Another brick. We get 2 more looks at a land. Sometimes they're real fast. Sometimes it's nice and easy. Maybe we will play a third deck today if the rest of them go like that. Maybe we will still play Dredge this morning. That's okay. If you can't lose games like that, you just can't play Magic. You're gonna have a lot of games in Magic where you just don't get to actually play a game because of how the resource variance works. So you just gotta move on and move past those and just be able to sleeve up for the next one. At least on Magic Online, you don't have to like sit there and wait for the next round to pop after you get screwed by variance. You just get to queue into another one, which is nice. Put it mulligan to 5. All right. I'll lead on this. I grab Breeding Pool here, I think. Lead on Birdie. There's a lot of upside to playing Magic Online. Basic Island. Alright, sweet. So hopefully the silences that I added in are gonna do some work for us here. No Spell Snare is great for us. Yeah, I think I'll get the Noble Hierarch going here. Just max on mana for now. Now we just need a Jeskai Ascendancy to get things rolling here. Excuse me. I'm gonna opt now. Remember, just because it's an instant speed card doesn't mean you have to play it on their turn. Classic Moto. Bottom card, draw same card. I'm gonna cast the Caryatid rather than play a land this turn, I think. I think I'm gonna cast Nagging Thoughts too, actually. Just like dig for a thing. Sweet, we got to ditch a Fatestitcher too. That's pretty good. Merfolk Trickster. Okay, well the silences probably aren't going to be very good, but good news. Good chance they're dead next turn. Yep, I agree. It's also very difficult to cheat on Magic Online. I was worried my opponent might try to interact with us. Instead, they're just going to slam tiny creatures into ours. They have double Spell Pierce. Am I about to get double Spell Pierced? God bless. Double Spell Pierce is pretty unlikely. I'm holding this land in my hand because you need lands to loot through here. So this is the combo for people that haven't seen it before. So what we do at this point is we're going to start cycling through all of the cards in my deck while making my creatures larger. And then eventually, actually I have a Fatestitcher here in my bin. This Fatestitcher is going to diddle my opponent's things, so that way it can get really large and we can attack with our Birds of Paradise and our Noble Hierarchs. Our Birds of Paradises will literally be attacking for lethal here. And opponents conceding, they're pretty likely to be dead here from the position that we're in. Is this a matchup I even want Silence in? I actually don't think it is. I guess they probably have more counterspells out of their post sideboard, right? I might actually just click Submit here. Like, I don't think they have enough counterspells to make me want to bring in extra copies of Silence, but I also don't really want Abrupt Decay or Leyline of Sanctity. Basically, when you're sideboarding with this deck, you want to decide, like, what package of anti-disruption are you bringing in? Are you bringing in your 4 ways to kill, like, Thalias and Meddling Mages? Are you bringing in your 4 ways, some of your ways to interact with counterspells? Are you bringing in your anti-discard spells? But I think my opponent's deck just probably doesn't have enough counter magic to be worth bringing in all the silences. That's true. Unified Will is like, is that even a card against us? This hand needs a mana creature, but it's got a bunch of cantrips in it. Our Jeskai Ascendancy is kind of slow in this hand because it's a Glittering Wish, but it seems fine. 10 out of 10 shock this in on 1. I wonder if there's an argument for passing the turn and opting on their turn, since they like passed with this up in case they spell pierce us. But at the same time, I kind of don't mind them spell piercing a cantrip there, I don't think. No, I wasn't playing Silence last time, Tom. You are correct. I added copies of Silence in because what's the word I'm searching for? There's been more Jeskai in the format recently. Looking for a mana creature. That could be a mana creature. Perfect. And I'm actually gonna bottom here because I would kind of like to draw a Jeskai Ascendancy naturally to make it easier to combo rather than having to go through it with Glittering Wish. So our deck is mostly cantrips, and since we already found a mana creature. Piercer cantrip is very aggressive, I agree. We drew more lands though, so it's kind of a punishment for bottoming those. I'm gonna go ahead and get this abundant growth going, I think. Just gonna filter my colors a little bit. They're definitely holding up a counterspell here, right? Because like we know they have a lord. Another Sylvan Caryatid is great. Sylvan Caryatid also encourages them to play a lord out because it can block. Hey, the Lurking Blade was finally able to resubscribe again after being gone for 2 weeks. Thanks for the 4-month Lurking Blade, I appreciate it. Hope wherever you are at went well. Trickster is so good in matchups like this for them because it lets them hold up potential disruption while still applying pressure to the board. We're gonna be dead very quickly here, huh? So I can just Wrath their board here, right? They don't have a Spell Pierce. The way they use the Spell Pierce aggressively, it makes me think they probably have a second one. But if they have a second Spell Pierce, I'm probably dead anyways, right? So I just like shock in this Temple Garden, Glittering Wish for Fiery Justice and Justice their board. I think that's the line. I didn't put growth on the mine because I had to use the mine to cast the growth that turn. So we're pretty dead to a counter spell here regardless, so might as well. Survey says. Was the Spell Pierce aggressive because you have a second? Yes, no, maybe. Gotcha. Alright. Alrighty. I'll buy us some time. It's a reason for Fiery Justice over something like Fire Spout. Well, you see, I need creatures to win the game. So I need creatures to win the game. So Fire Spout there would have killed my Sylvan Caryatid, which would have been very bad for me. I'm gonna start by just cycling the Cerulean Wisps and seeing what happens. This is free because it untaps the creature. So, do I... We're pretty unlikely to win with just the silence this turn is the thing. I think I want to just upkeep silence them here. I guess there's really not a ton of harm if I miss. We could go off here. If we hit a cantrip. If we hit a cantrip, we could keep going. It's really bad. Thank you, wonderful wife. You're the best. She made me a sandwich. Isn't she wonderful?
Made you a whole lunch.
Entire lunch. I know, it's great. So, I'm actually not going to play this other Sylvan Caryatid out. And the reason I'm not playing it out is because if I go off next turn, my bottleneck is likely to be not having enough cards in my hand. So keeping an extra card in my hand is valuable here. I don't people keep asking me, is Sylvan Awakening gonna help this deck? The TLDR is that it doesn't. The longer ranty answer is that I don't understand why people just people that think Sylvan Awakening is going to be good for this deck have obviously never played it before in my experience. Manamorphose is a great draw here. We just need some cantrips to get going to generate a bunch of velocity here. I don't actually care if this Noxious Revival resolves. I just needed to cast a spell to cantrip into another spell. And actually the fact that they popped that relic there means my Fatestitchers get to be live draws now, which seems great for us. Yes, it is the definition of a win more card. It's not fixing problems that the deck actually has. It's like I always say, oh god. So remember last turn when I said last turn I said our bottleneck was going to be how many cards we had in our hand? And that's why Nagging Thoughts is in this deck. Nagging Thoughts is in our deck because it helps us when our bottleneck is cards. When you're playing this deck, your bottleneck is going to be one of two things mid combo. You're either not going to have enough mana or you're not going to have enough cards in your hand. And you always want to be playing to identify what your bottleneck's going to be in a given game and then work towards fixing that bottleneck. The win condition in this deck is attacking with a large mana creature, or if you're going off with Sylvan Caryatid, using Fleshblood out of the sideboard. I guess we could brick and die here if this doesn't hit a spell. All right, we hit a spell. God bless. All right, so now we get 3 looks at a spell. Okay, so that Manamorphose, if this doesn't brick here, we should be, okay, sweet. So we should pretty much be scot-free at this point. Should pretty much be in the... So again, instead of me taking your suggestions and telling you they're bad, can you take your suggestions and tell me why they're good? What problem does this deck have that Visions from Beyond is good against? In my experience, people already board in Graveyard Hate against this deck because of my 2 copies of Fatestitcher. So one of the things I think this deck does that makes it potentially a little bit better, or at least different from Storm, is the fact that this deck doesn't get hosed by Graveyard Hate. So by putting cards into my deck that make me depend on the graveyard, it makes my deck much worse in matches where I'm leaning on Graveyard Hate, where they're bringing in Graveyard Hate. God, we are not running good. All right, Serum Visions, God bless. We keep getting real close to running out of stuff here. So the bottleneck is that. Okay, look at this situation right here. I have 12 cards in my graveyard. I still wouldn't be drawing other cards. with a Visions from Beyond. Whereas, what's it called? Nagging Thoughts is actually going to help me. It's actually going to help me find stuff that I need. So I'm not going to loot because I don't want to discard this Glittering Wish. So Glittering Wish is the perfect stone seer. It's exactly what we want. So Glittering Wish is a card that's not only a win condition in this deck, but it also helps our bottleneck on cards because we have a copy of Scarscale Ritual in our sideboard, which allows us to generate some actual cards. And we've run pretty bad here, but we actually have hit a critical mass where at this point we're going to be fine. So now Scarscale Ritual says, hey, I'm going to have plenty of ways to draw cards, so cards will no longer be my bottleneck. What do I think of Ideas Unbound? So in my experience, Ideas Unbound is great when you're comboing, but a lot of the time when you're comboing, yes, your margins are going to be tight like they were this game, but you generally don't need more cards, to help you mid-combo. Cards that are only good mid-combo, but bad when you draw them outside of when you're comboing, are not what you're looking to add to this deck. That's why a card like Nagging Thoughts, which is card neutral when you're not comboing, is good, but it's also card advantage mid-combo. So I either get to like make some mana and stuff here. So our opponent's gonna die here momentarily. We actually already have lethal set up. I don't have to draw anything else, but we can draw cards because drawing cards is fun. Speaking of Nagging Thoughts, so I'm gonna go ahead and cast this Glittering Wish, and this Glittering Wish is gonna go get Flesh Blood. Yeah, it's very narrow for it to be card advantage when you're not comboing, but you're right, it can technically be card advantage even when you're not comboing. I have too much of a conscience. Look, Modern is a format that's all about making your opponent watch you do your sweet thing while they do their sweet thing, okay? Don't feel bad about it. So this is gonna be 18 after this blood resolves, and then I'll attack them for 9. Target creature deals damage equal to power to any target. So we'll go blood, this, target here. I guess it's actually gonna be even bigger than that, right? Because I technically get to... The problem with Faithless Looting is that, again, one of the bottlenecks you have when you're comboing a lot of the time is that you don't have enough cards in your hand, and Faithless Looting is card negative. Faithless Looting puts you behind cards, which is a big deal. So they go to 7. I'm gonna attack them for 9. So the combo in this deck is very convoluted. If you like this deck and you think it's sweet, I've got an article published about it on gatheringmagic.com from late last year. I've also streamed it a bunch. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube. I think the deck's a lot of fun and has some quality combo. They must have F6 and walked away from their computer. All right, we're 1-1 after some bad beats against Burm. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. Welcome. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream full time here on Twitch. We stream a ton of Magic. I stream some Hearthstone. We play mostly Modern. We also play some Legacy. We're gonna dip our toe into the Vintage waters later this evening. If you're enjoying my stuff and you want to help me stay streaming full time like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are a big part of why I'm able to do this full time. Subscriptions start at $4.99 a month, or if you're one of the many people out there who has Amazon Prime, if you link your Amazon account to your Twitch account, that gives you Twitch Prime for free included with that, and Twitch Prime gives you a free channel subscription to a channel of your choice every single month. If you're one of my many viewers out there who watches on YouTube and you can't always catch me live, you can use your Twitch Prime on my channel even while I'm offline. I really appreciate that. You can also support my stuff by checking out some of my sponsors. MTGOtraders.com would love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you. If you use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there. CoolStuffInc.com buys and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles using promo code Jeff5. You can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. Mack Weldon provides premium men's clothing. Using code Jeff Hoagland at bit.ly/Google Clothes, you can save 20% on your first order of stuff there. They do premium casual wear, shorts, t-shirts, socks, underwear, all sorts of great stuff like that. And of course, this stream is made possible by viewers like Justin, Anaronix, Nivik, and you. If you are enjoying my stuff, please make sure you follow the stream at least. Following the stream doesn't cost you anything. I'll let you know when I go live and with what. I'm gonna go ahead and choose to play first. Seems pretty good. The fact that our first land is Gemstone Mine kind of sucks, but we got a couple of cantrips to dig to more land. We've got a Sylvan Caryatid already, and we've got a Glittering Wish to find a Jeskai Ascendancy. In my experience, Mystic Speculation is just a win more card. You don't actually need an infinite combo in this deck to win the game most of the time. So if it's a card you don't actually need to win, it just lets you win extra, it's a win more. That's great. I'm gonna bottom this Opt and top this Ascendancy. So we get to go turn 2 Caryatid, turn 3 Ascendancy, and then maybe combo. I'm gonna mute my microphone really quick here so I can finish this lunch that my wife very wonderfully made for me. So I'm gonna keep playing Magic, but I'm going to mute so you don't have to hear me chew. It's actually a different Merfolk opponent than before. Mystic Speculation is worse than a regular cantrip, though. The fact that we were really lucky and just like drew this land naturally here means I can actually try and start comboing this turn, which is great. So we'll go red this. And so again, I mentioned you always want to be trying to identify whatever your bottleneck's going to be mid-combo. So currently our bottleneck is mana. Cards that get us additional mana are Noxious Revival, Cerulean Wisps, and Manamorphose. This Cerulean Wisp nets us an extra mana because in addition to triggering the Jeskai Ascendancy to untap my creature, it also untaps my creature, which is nice. So it's going to make this generate 2 mana at the cost of 1 input. I would love a Fatestitcher. So I mentioned my bottleneck right now is mana. And Fatestitcher getting looted into my discard pile actually helps solve that bottleneck, because Fatestitcher is another mana creature that I'm going to get into play for 1 mana, and that's eventually how we're going to win this game most likely. So we're going to go ahead and loot here, and we'll ditch the Fatestitcher. The best thing that Fatestitcher does for this deck is because Fatestitcher comes out of the discard pile, people often board in Graveyard Hate against you, even though this deck doesn't actually need the graveyard to win, which is kind of great. So the Glittering Wish can get Scarscale Ritual, that is correct. And now the Fatestitcher solved our bottleneck of not having enough mana, and the Glittering Wish for Scarscale Ritual is going to solve our bottleneck of not having enough cards potentially. So at this point, we should pretty much be home free. We just need to not hit a critical mass of lands and creatures, but with the spells that we have going right now and like the what's it called that's on top of our deck that we just saw there, we should be fine. I'm gonna cast this. We get to loot here. We're gonna see so many cards here. At this point, it's pretty unlikely for us to brick. I'm just gonna go ahead and tap this now so I don't forget later. So discard this Nagging Thoughts since I have 2 mana floating. Then we cast this Nagging Thoughts. To go ahead and untap my dorks again. Get to go ahead and loot again. So like to brick off here, we'd have to brick on this loot plus these 2 cards plus the three cards from this next one. So pretty unlikely to miss at this point. Yeah, so now it's basically just like doing, it's basically just, you know, process of clicking from here. Just gotta like go through the motions. It is $10 to put a deck in the queue. I don't normally accept vintage decks, so the vintage deck we're playing tonight is a special exception because Nivik contributes a lot to the stream. So generally speaking, I only do Legacy and Modern. Vintage and Pauper and other formats just like aren't quite popular enough to justify taking time off from playing the more popular formats. I mean, they always could scoop. Conceding is always an option. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Conceding is always an option. I forgot to ask if you played Jeskai token stack. I don't think I played that deck way back then. I think I'm just getting another Jeskai Ascendancy here. Although I guess I'm pretty close to just killing them with Flesh Blood, right? Yeah, I probably should just get Flesh Blood. This is going to be lethal pretty quickly here. Made the wrong color mana there. Not that it really matters. I've got plenty of colors. Hey, Azurius Renegade, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people producing Magic content on Twitch right now, so I appreciate you choosing to support mine this month. Thank you and welcome. So this will deal, we could deal a lot more damage here, but for the sake of you all watching at home in Moto Clock, I'm not going to keep making you click through this. So this will deal a 10 ball upstairs, then we'll go ahead and attack with this this Fatestitcher for Xaxes here. And I never actually ate my lunch here like I said I was going to, because I'm gonna take so if I understand, subscribing with Twitch Prime allows us to sub to your channel for free. Yeah, so how Twitch Prime works is basically included in your Amazon Prime subscription, they let you support a content creator of your choice. So it's the same on my end as a tier 1 subscription. So I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna take 2 minutes to eat this sandwich and some chips really quick. Thank you for the bits, Mr. Death Kills. I'll get those added after the stream today. Yeah, on my end, a Twitch Prime sub is identical to a tier 1 sub, the $4.99 sub. That's exact same to me. Donating to get the latest version of your green black rock deck back in the queue. 10 out of 10 Kessel Runner. Will do. Thank you very much for the support. And Legacy Delver. Any particular Delver variation? Or just my choice? Yeah, I've been good since Saturday night. That is not a butter sandwich. It is a cheese, tomato, onion, and mayo sandwich. This hand is pretty good. It's got a cantrip to kind of get us some stuff going. It's got a Sylvan Caryatid. It's got a slow ascendancy. This cantrip's going to be looking for lands and an actual ascendancy. I think because my opponent's playing a more aggressive deck, I'm actually going to play this on 1 and fetch for Temple Garden tapped, just to save myself my health total. Is a hot dog a sandwich? As someone who likes to adhere to strict definitions of things, I think you have to say a hot dog's a sandwich. All the details on donation decks, Kessel Runner, can be found at that bit.ly link right there. If you have any questions on specific, feel free to drop me a whisper, and I'll let you know after the stream. Yep, yeah, Twitch Prime is the same as a regular tier 1 sub. So, they kept a 1-lander. Oh, they mulligan 2, so I guess that makes sense. This card doesn't really bother us. I wonder if I'm supposed to shock in Steam Vents there in case they go land Spreading Seas. Or shock in Hallowed Fountain, sorry. So I can still cast this. Although I guess I have Manamorphose to play this through Spreading Seas next turn. Silence is a good draw. I guess if they have Spell Pierce here, they could Spell Pierce plus Curse Catcher me. I mean, not everything's all those decks were off the no-fly list at one point. Just we played them and decided I didn't really enjoy playing them. Modern Fishes. Sounds good, Mr. Ithkill. Thank you very much for all the bits. I really appreciate the support. Happy to put all the decks you would like to see in the queue. We actually have a no-fly tab on the, what's it called at this point, on the spreadsheet. So I could get Spell Pierced here, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and lead on Silence. Hey, Raspberries, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for helping make my content possible. So, even if they have a Spell Pierce here, this is going to guarantee this Jeskai Ascendancy resolves, and we're in no danger of dying from 14 next turn. So, we can't combo this turn, but I get to get my Ascendancy into play, which is valuable. Nice. Played around Spell Pierce successfully. Modern Death and Taxes. Sounds good. Double Pierce. Gross. Double Pierce. All the bits, Mr. Deathkill. All right, let's pass back here. So the Noxious Revival means I can floop that Jeskai Ascendancy back on top of my deck during my upkeep next turn. Yeah, I'm gonna fetch a thing. I don't want them to know that I'm gonna have the Ascendancy next turn because it might cause them to play their turn differently. I actually already have a Leonin Arbiter deck in the queue from Nivik, so we'll probably just use that to bump that one up. Because Nivik said I could pick as well. All right, they should be dead at this point. I'm not a big fan of Chord and green-black elves. There's tabs in the donation spreadsheet. There's a tab for Hearthstone and there's a tab for the no-fly list. Using the Noxious Revival sooner rather than later gives my opponent information about what I'm drawing next turn, which could potentially impact the plays that they're making during their turn. The Griselbrand, of course. Alright, let's opt it out. We don't actually have a ton of cards in our hand right now, so I guess I'm bidding this lane. Maybe I wasn't supposed to loot there. It's possible I wasn't supposed to loot just because I liked all of the cards in my hand, kinda. So Manamorphose nets us a mana because it costs 2 to cast. I'm actually not going to loot here because I like the cards in my hand. I don't want to discard spells and then get stuck with non-spells later. Again, just kind of like all the cards in my hand still. And now I don't like one of the cards in my hand, so now we will go ahead. Now we will go ahead and loot when we get asked, do we want to loot? Like white mana. Usually can't have too much blue mana. All right, and so I don't actually think I want to play this other Ascendancy here just yet. Is mana my bottleneck? I'm kind of bottlenecking on cards, right? So because I'm bottlenecking on cards, I guess I could potentially bottleneck on mana here. Hey, Kessel Runner, thank you for the bits. You're making my baby sleep a lot longer throughout the day. My voice is very soothing. Very, very soothing. I don't know if I want to play the Ascendancy here or not. Ascendancy means we definitely won't bottleneck on mana. I think I'm going to play the Serum Visions first and see what happens. The fact that I just like don't have any extra cards in my hand that I really want to discard kind of makes me want to hold on to the Ascendancy. Yeah, I'm going to loot for now because I might want to discard this Ascendancy to the loot depending on what we hit here. Nagging Thoughts is amazing. So Nagging Thoughts means I'm not going to bottleneck on cards, which is good. Hey, Azurius Renegade, thank you very much for the bits. If you loot, you can just discard the non-land you draw. Maybe. I think I'm going to bottom this Noxious Revival for now. And I'm gonna definitely topping this Nagging Thoughts. So if I do this, I'm going to loot into the Nagging Thoughts. But I think I want to wait on the Nagging Thoughts until I have the Jeskai Ascendancy out. So I'm going to go ahead and bin this Bird of Paradise for now. So now all of my spells... Now all of my spells generate extra mana, right? Because my Ascendancy untaps my creatures twice now. So every time I pay 1 mana for a spell, I generate 2 mana with it. So like this Nagging Thoughts actually doesn't actually net me any mana loss here. Because the Nagging Thoughts cost 2 mana, but it makes 2 mana when I play it. Alright, we could get super unfortunate and brick off and die here, but we are pretty unlikely to miss at this point. Like I've got 2 loots on the stack here. I've got this Nagging Thoughts. I've got the Sleight of Hand. So a lot of, yeah, another Nagging Thoughts. Half a year of 3/2s in Modern. Hey, Hat Crab Zombie. Thanks for the 6-month resubscription. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. All right, let's do that, which puts more triggers on the stack. So at this point, mana is no longer a bottleneck. At this point, cards aren't a bottleneck, so we don't have any bottlenecks. I'm actually not going to loot here because I'm happy with both the cards in my hand. So I'm just gonna decline the loot since all of our cards are great. Hey, hello, son. Tonight your bedtime story is why Stoneforge. That's funny. All right, so now we're just looking for a we're just looking for a copy of Glittering Witch so we can kill them with, what's it called, right? Flesh Blood. So I'm gonna kind of loot aggressively here so we can try and find a Glittering Wish. I'm gonna go bottom here. Don't need another Ascendancy at this point. I probably want to make a red mana in here. I need a red and a green to cast Flesh Blood. So get my loot on. Oh, look, a Fatestitcher. Manamorphose. I guess there's a world where we could brick here. I don't think that's likely, but we'll see. We'll see. What tablet do I use? I have an LG. It's an LG something. It's got this really sweet little brick on the back of it. If you message me, Night Stars, I can send you the model. I know it's got a 4G chip in it that works with T-Mobile too, which is great. Nothing super powerful, but does the job well. I've seen that's running Shadow of the Grave to refill your hand. Yeah, I think a lot of people put a lot of cards that I classify as win more into this archetype. I think people don't understand how important having, like, people don't remember the games where they brick off and die. They only remember the games where they got to do this really big, dumb, stupid thing. And while the big, dumb, stupid thing is a lot of fun, I think you definitely don't need to do that, and you could definitely brick off some of the time. So I would much rather just, like, minimize my chances of bricking off as often as possible. So, I'm really glad the opponent doesn't have Stoneforge Mistake. There's no way we could win if they had that, right? And from what I've heard from other people, Stoneforge Mystic would go in literally every deck, including Merfolk. So pretty sure that if they had it, if they had access to it, they would play it. Man, where the fuck are my Glittering Wishes? I was about to check my sideboard and see if we had accidentally boarded them out there. Thank you for making my work from home job bearable. You rock. Keep up the Hearthstone content. Thanks, Rick Astley. I appreciate the 4-month resub. Welcome back. All right, now they're dead. Cast this Glittering Wish finally. Can finally start declining these loots. So this is how you win without attacking. You make your Sylvan Caryatid really large, and then you go get Flesh Blood. So there's that. Cast Blood. This one would like to deal damage here. Thank you. Do we even know when... Does anyone know... Have they said when Battle Bond cards are going to release on Magic Online? I assume they haven't. I assume they haven't posted that information yet. Just good clean -6. All right. Well, we're 2-0-4-0 against Merfolk. Our Merfolk matchup is decent. So the sub notification sound is actually my children laughing. I could probably edit it in a thing, and manually make it stereo, but it was definitely recorded in mono. So this hand has a slow ascendancy, as I like to call it, with Glittering Wish, and we have a mana dork, and we have a cantrip to try and dig for some more lands, or a fast ascendancy, so pretty reasonable overall. We're gonna shock in Breeding Pool on 1 and cast Serum Visions to dig for our second land drop. And even if we miss on this 3 looks plus our draw step, we get a 5th look with this Abundant Growth. We need to change it to Declan Screaming for old time's sake. So get 4 shots at a land tier to play the Sylvan Caryatid on 2. Hey, Misty Rainforest, God bless. Just gonna go top here. When you know you're shuffling away the second card, you should always top it, because it's a show of strength. Make sure your opponent think your hand is potentially better than it might be. It's like one of those things where like it's actual 0 percentage points overall, but like it's this little thing that's going to make your opponent stop and think about their decisions potentially. Okay, this matchup's hard for us. This is decks. Humans keeps decks like what I'm playing extremely honest. So they have a lot of disruptive elements. One thing that is good about our deck is our deck can actually win the game through Athalia with the right board state, but Meddling Mage and Kitesail Freebooter, those cards are very, very difficult to play through when they're paired with the efficient clock the human's deck is often able to generate. That being said, I do have Glittering Wish, so we could potentially be looking at casting a Fiery Justice sometime soon. Our post-board plan in this matchup, I mentioned this earlier, we have 2 Path to Exiles and 2 Abrupt Decays we get to board in this matchup to kind of pick their disruptive threats off the table. Mage, Ascendancy, and Wish wins the game. Game 1, yes. Yeah, if they have Meddling Mage on Ascendancy and Glittering Wish, we cannot win game 1. That is correct. And you need it on both of those. My opponent asked if they could have a shout out for their team Zazaza in Brazil. So howdy team Zazaza, if you're watching this match from this side at some point. Oh geez, what's the Tavern Brawl this week? Do they update that on, it goes live on Wednesday, I assume? Oh, we got opponent. Get a deck full of random legends. That's interesting. Really want to draw a white source here. Want to draw a white source or a green source here. Would be ideal. I'm gonna go ahead and get Fiery Justice here. The Meddling Mage named Jeskai Ascendancy. I assume their pause there was them looking up like what could possibly mean Sylvan Caryatid. So Jeskai Ascendancy is a solid name there. Because like if they don't name Ascendancy, I could definitely kill them on my following turn if my hand is good. They have another mage. They can take us off of this Fiery Justice, and then we're probably done. Yeah. Oh, I guess this other Glittering Wish can get an Abrupt Decay. Yeah, I just don't really have an option not to. And like, if they understand how my deck works and they have another Meddling Mage anyways, they're just gonna Meddling Mage Glittering Wish, and then I'm just Stone Cold anyways. Yeah, and I think this is just like a textbook example of why like the deck that my opponent's playing is very good against combo decks like what I'm playing, because like they have this disruptive element and then the value of attention just allows them to provide a ton of pressure very quickly. So Humans is easily the best deck in Modern, and just like Humans is very good against Storm, Humans is very good against this deck that we're playing here today. So if you want a deck that's good against Humans, it's certainly not this one. Trim the silences, trim and opt. Trim one more card. I'm gonna trim a Manamorphose just because it doesn't net mana when... I guess I don't want to trim Manamorphose when I'm boarding an Abrupt Decay though. Maybe Nagging Thoughts. I guess Wish is clunky and it forecasts what we're doing. Yeah, that's fair. I don't hate trimming a Wish. I like that. Yeah, I agree. I think having a deck that's good against decks like Jeskai Ascendancy and Ad Nauseam and Storm be one of the better decks in Modern is ideal. I think having one of the best decks in the format be a deck that cares about meaningful interaction and keeps the dishonest decks fairly honest is good. Nice, Diva. Yeah, that deck's sweet. The Kiln Fiend deck is definitely sweet. One of the better new decks I've played in a long time. How's the human Tron matchup? I've never seen that. It's pretty play draw dependent. I think my gut tells me, having played a bunch of Tron, that the average draw probably favors humans, but Tron's good draws will still beat humans, especially if they're on the play. Like, humans usually can't deal lethal before turn 5. So, turn 4 O-Stone, especially on the play, is going to be very good. Quest Rogue? I actually think Quest Rogue is still fine. I think Quest Rogue's probably the deck out of all the nerf that gets hammered the least. Having a bunch of mana dorks in our hand is very good in this matchup. So previously, Sinbred, I didn't have any copies of Silence in my main deck. The reason why I added Silence is because Jeskai Control's been more popular lately, and you need... I did not see anything pop up from you, Yellow Bandana. My last donation was from... last donation was from Kessel Runner, it looks like. Sorry, I was answering a question. The silences. So you need silence to be competitive against the counterspell decks, and silence is also reasonable against decks like Storm and Valakut. So I think including it is fine. Abrupt Decay is good. It's a good anti-hate card. Looking for an actual Ascendancy to get going for the Narset Cannon. Definitely, Terran. Thank you for the bits. Modern doesn't need more non-basic land hate. Modern just needs less obnoxious basic lands. The solution to Tron being obnoxious in Modern isn't make Modern miserable by printing things that kill lands, because things that kill lands create miserable gameplay. They create games where one player basically never gets to actually play Magic, and that's not interesting gameplay. I would much rather if Wizards thinks Tron is actually a problem, and I don't think they do based on how long it's been legal. If they ever do think it's a problem, they should probably just ban it instead of printing obnoxious things like Wasteland. You can actually get a free Lich King if you play the PvE, right? I'm pretty sure if you do the Frozen Throne PvE thing under the adventures, you can get a free Lich King. But don't quote me on that. Someone was mentioning a free Lich King from the PvE in the subs Discord last night. So I'd do some Googling. Do some great googly moogly. Great googly moogly. Oh, it's a Death Knight card. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Death Knights are the things that upgrade your hero, right? I'm still learning all the verbology. Is that a word? Is verbology a word? I think I'm actually just going to let this trigger resolve, because I think I'd rather they take the Abrupt Decay than the Manamorphose here. No, I really don't want to play against Burn with Price of Progress. That sounds really miserable. You think this deck is easier to play on Magic Online or in paper? I think it's easier to play on Magic Online. I think having to track how big all of my creatures are and how much mana I have floating in paper sounds really, really tedious and boring. I think if they leave me the Abrupt Decay here, I'm going to Abrupt Decay their 3/3 Champion of the Parish. Yeah, Damping Sphere was a good example of like a way to try and attack Tron. It's not going to be super successful. Like the decks that are still bad against Tron are still pretty bad against Tron even with Damping Sphere, but... Okay, they took the Decay. The Decay means they either have another disruptive threat next turn, or they just think they can beat me down before that's relevant. Field of Ruin is not a card that's very good against Tron. Field of Ruin is really slow and clunky and not very good against Tron's good draws. I'm going to lead on this Manamorphose here, because if we draw Jeskai Ascendancy, I can start comboing with the Sleight of Hand. That's unfortunate. I guess it saves my Gemstone Mine, which is nice. Gitaxian Probe is a really messed up card in this deck, and it's not particularly close. It's not particularly close. Gitaxian Probe is real good. I'm gonna go ahead and just pass the turn here. I mean, Field of Ruin it's fine in Modern. Field of Ruin is definitely Modern playable. I would not argue that Field of Ruin isn't Modern playable. I just don't accept the silly fact that people like to throw out there that Field of Ruin is good against Tron. Field of Ruin is like okay against Tron. This deck can kill on turn 2 with Noxious Revival, so you can still turn 2 people with this deck. I agree. Gitaxian Probe is a miserable card that should stay banned forever. It shouldn't be legal in any format. All right, am I supposed to opt here? Yeah, I'm just trying to hit a Jeskai Ascendancy naturally, right? All right. Hey, whoa, the yellow bandana with the big donations. Shout out to the best dad streamer out there. Thank you very much for the very generous support, Yellow Bandana. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Be sure to let me know if you would like to bump anything up in the queue. The people that support the channel get to pick the content that we play in the order we play it. Narset Cannon's in the donation queue. Shut up and take my money, Sarah C. Thank you very much for that. I'll get that added. We can actually try and combo from here, right? So the land is good. So I get to go ahead and fetch a basic island here, and then I get to Glittering Wish for Jeskai Ascendancy, put Jeskai Ascendancy into play, cast Serum Visions, untap my thing, and then maybe run the distance. Hopefully, we're going the distance. We're going for speed. We're all alone in this time of need. The Violon 2 is spooky, but I can't do anything about it. I can't play around it, so we're just gonna pretend the Violon 2 is not gonna do anything, because if it can do anything, we're not winning the game. So we've got 2 shots to draw a spell here. We need to draw a non-creature spell on this loot or on our Serum Visions, and if either of those 2 things happens, we're pretty likely to get to run away with the game. I wonder what their 3 cards are. They must just be like lands, right? Spells. Tilt. Spell. Alrighty. There's 2 spells on top of my deck. Okay. Jeskai Ascendancy. Jeskai Ascendancy means we can keep going off here. We're going to get, all of our creatures are going to get very large very quickly. They're going to die very quickly. Mana is not our bottleneck. We have plenty of mana, chat. Mana is not going to be the problem this game. Let's just deal with this Vial. Just good. The Vial couldn't do anything. God bless us. It looks like we're gonna get this second game here, so that feels good. We know there's a guaranteed spell on top of our deck, and then we're gonna get to scry with this, which is great. I wish there was an always yes option for Fatestitcher, but there's not. This is probably a bad deck to play while Moto's lagging. I probably should have restarted Magic Online. I'm gonna go ahead and loot aggressively here because we have better cantrips than this. I don't really need Noxious Revival at this point. Those are all spells. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep all the spells. We just want to keep casting as many spells as possible, so that way we can power up, pump up our jams here. Opponent's seen the rating on the wall. How much RAM are we using? I might restart here midway. Not quite 2 gigs. I've got 18 minutes. There's plenty of time for a third game if I need to combo again. I'm just gonna run it back. I'm pretty set in how we sideboarded. Just the decays and the paths in. Nah, they're pretty deterministically dead at this point. My computer actually has 32 gigs of RAM. The problem isn't my computer. My computer is an i7 with 32 gigs of memory and like a mid-range graphics card. Processor's nice and quick, i7. The problem is that Magic Online itself runs slowly and slows down to a crawl when it's using too much memory. This hand's very good. It has plenty of lands in it, and it's got double mana dork. It actually has a slow ascendancy too, which is great. Not sure if anyone has asked or said anything in the past, but how much to stream a few games of this week's Tavern Brawl and Hearthstone? It's been out for a bit, and I've had far too much fun with how dumb it is. I have no idea. They're free. The Tavern Brawls are free, right? feel like I should know the answer to that question. Sometimes they're free and sometimes not. Any thoughts on just running Caryatid as a ramp creature? I feel like I feel like not playing the Noble Hierarchs and the Birds of Paradise slows down the consistency or the frequency of your best draws. And if you're not killing people quickly with this deck, there's not really a big upside to playing this deck. I think one of the upsides to playing this deck is having fast combo kills. So making this deck slower and more resilient isn't the reason to play it. Like if you want a slow, resilient combo deck, you should play something else is basically what it comes down to. And if we had a Noxious Revival, we could turn to them here, but we do not, unfortunately. I am 10 out of 10 just jamming this Ascendancy into play. Not particularly close. Your move, Yugi boy. Especially with this Fatestitcher in my hand. How is it a turn 3 kill? To kill on turn 3, don't you need, like, explain to me, the card you're talking about costs 3 mana, right? So how is it a turn 3 kill? If you don't have a mana dork out on 1, it doesn't work, right? Turn 4, yeah, turn 4 again. So like, turn 4 is slow in Modern. Turn 4, you are dead so much of the time. So much of the time. Yep, yeah, I agree, Adamain. I agree. I think getting this in under Ascendancy or under Meddling Mage is a huge deal. We might actually just kill them here. Because they don't have they could have like Meddling Mage here, but they don't have Alright, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do this now just in case. Yeah, okay. Oh wow, so they should be super dead. Very, very, very. So, like, I don't have a bottleneck on cards, it doesn't look like. We're definitely not bottlenecked on mana with 2 mana creatures going here, so we'd have to be exceptionally unlucky to die. Or to not get there this game. Or I'd have to be very dumb. Can we get a bits fueled command that lets viewers time out Jeff and he has to mute himself for 10 minutes? I think that would make the content much worse, and the goal is to make good content. So probably a no on that one. We're actually just gonna kill them. I actually don't even really need to get Flesh Blood, right? Because like this might actually be a just wish for second Ascendancy. I mean, I could still talk. And that was sloppy. I technically missed an untap there, but again, just like we have so many resources, just like an embarrassment of riches. What are your thoughts on the new Sylvan Waking and Jeskai Ascendancy? I'm gonna write a tweet and just link it. I should have done that before I did this. It's bad. It doesn't fix any of your problems. The problems this deck has aren't solved by that card. So that means it's not a good addition to the deck. It doesn't fix your not having enough mana or not having enough cards mid combo like you sometimes run into. GG's opponent. No, I don't really follow spoilers, especially not spoilers that aren't going to apply to standard or modern. This is almost exactly the deck I'm playing. It's got engineered explosives in it. Engineered explosives is neat because it's removal. It's got 2 explosives. Otherwise, this is almost card for card the deck list I'm playing. Oh, it's got Retraction Helix in it. So the changes are 2 of these, this and this. Oh, that's cute. If someone wanted to pay to run this back, I'd probably play this. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the mana base that I have. The Painland mana base is really brutal in my experience. I've played the Rainbow mana bases before, and they're not ideal. All right, well, we're restarting Magic Online because it's hemorrhaging memory. I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's hanging out here today. We're gonna play one more match before I wrap up for the afternoon. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are what keep me here full time like I do. You can also support my stuff by supporting some of my sponsors. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience. Using code Jeff12, you can save 12% on custom playmats, mousepads, binders, and bags there. Cardsphere.com would love to help you turn your magic cards into other magic cards or cash directly with other people. There's no haggling. They just take a 1% fee off the top. Rogue Ninja with the Twitch Prime support. Thank you for that. There's a lot of great people making content on Twitch right now, so I appreciate you choosing to support mine this month with your Twitch Prime. Thank you and welcome. And of course, our wonderful moderators here would all like to welcome you to Hoaglandia. Talk to your local moderator for your complimentary timeout. Anyway, we're 3-1 with this iteration of Jeskai Ascendancy that I'm currently playing. So let's go ahead and pop on into this last match and see if we can finish a 3-2 or wrap up with another 4-1. Could take inventory be a good addition to this deck? I don't think so. I think any cards that lead to a reliance in the graveyard are inherently bad because people like to board in graveyard hate against you anyways. And I think every card you play that costs more than 2 mana comes at a real cost. So that's my TLDR. So like I said, this is going to be my last match of the morning. I'm doing shorter streams on Wednesday morning because I'll be back about 7.5 hours from now. After I put the kids to bed tonight, I'm going to be doing a Wednesday stream. We're going to be playing some Vintage this evening, followed by some Legacy. If you like really sweet combo decks, we've got a sweet Vintage combo deck to kick off for the evening. The streaming as much as I do hurt the eyes. No, I've been a degenerate that uses the computer 30 to 40 hours a week since I was like 16 years old. 14 years old, 13 years old, since I was very young. I've been using the computer constantly. Complimentary timeouts don't affect anything down the road. A moderator will be happy to help you, Setai. There you go. I think Mystic Enforcer helped you out of the sideboard. No, I ended up cutting the Mystic Enforcer. Mystic Enforcer was in the sideboard during the era when Death Shadow was everywhere. So Death Shadow was really popular when I first started playing this deck, and I don't think Mystic Enforcer is very good outside of the Death Shadow matchup. I haven't had an eye check. I haven't gone to an eye doctor in a really long time, and I should probably do that, being a responsible adult by and large, but I don't have glasses. I don't need glasses to read. I'm not nearsighted, so my eyes don't cause me any pain, generally speaking, which is convenient. I'm sure they will at some point as I get older and deteriorate more. All right. Yeah, right, Nam? Same. I have no hair, but I have my eyesight. God bless. This seems very reasonable. We need an Ascendancy, but we've got 2 mana creatures, and we've got some cantrips. I really just love how consistent this deck is. Yes, PO Storm's the deck we're going to play tonight. Just, there are so many cantrips, and our combo pieces are so redundant that you usually have a pretty easy time getting set up and finding what you need every game. Honestly, if we miss a land drop next turn, I might just play Sylvan Caryatid on 2. What hour do I mean by tonight? I mean 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Maybe closer to 8 o'clock, depending on when the monsters actually make it to bed. This could be a little brutal here. Pretty unlikely to draw land here. If we hit a land, it's amazing for us. But if we don't draw land on the first draw here, we're gonna be in a little bit of a bad spot. Yep, it's unfortunate. So I'm gonna bottom this Wisp. I'll top this Hallowed Fountain and pass the turn. What hour do I mean by say? Well, I'm not on every Sunday, to be fair. My goal is to be on every Wednesday evening. So again, for those of you that aren't on cornfield time, that's about 7 hours from now that I'll be back. 7.5 or so. Yes, so that is the non-Europe friendly stream time. That is my goal. A lot of my streams these days are very Europe friendly times, like right now, for instance. But I wanted to make sure I still do some evening times. That way people that can't watch in the morning and during the day US get some live time at least. Get a little bit of schedule flexibility there for folks. All right, Sylvan Caryatid is in play. Looks like our opponent's playing Mardu Pyromancer. This matchup's pretty hard for us. We have 4 Leyline of Sanctities in the sideboard, but this is definitely the discard-based mid-range decks are one of the matchups that give us a little bit of a hard time. Like I said, I think this deck is very good at racing other linear and aggressive decks in the format, but the decks that are trying to slog through us can be a little bit tough. Yeah, at least they also missed a land. That's good for us. Taking our Nagging Thoughts is interesting. Hey, Haruho, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. I do. And see, this is masterful gameplay on my part. If you leave the card you don't want discarded on top of your deck, they can't take it with the Inquisition. With Matt and Booze. I don't know, JMP. I don't know. I need to talk to him. Find out. Figure that out. Masterfully stashed the Ascendancy on top of my deck there. For those of you at home, take notes. For those of you watching at home, take notes. Doop. So at this point, we need, again, like I've mentioned, you always want to be working towards figuring out what your bottleneck is in a given game. It looks like our current bottleneck is cards. So I want to try and find a way to get more cards in my hand altogether here. Which is actually, I guess it was good that they took Nagging Thoughts there on their part, because Nagging Thoughts is a way for us to like generate extra cards. The opponent is playing Mardu Pyromancer. They discarded a, what's it called? They discarded a thing earlier. They discarded a Bedlam Reveler. And if we do brick off here, I just get to silence them next turn. So, like, it's not the end of the world, but pretty likely to get to keep going here. Yeah, 2 cantrips is great. We're looking for a Glittering Wish or, again, a Nagging Thought, some way to actually generate card advantage. So, Glittering Wish is great here. Jeskai Ascendancy actually solves a problem we're having, which this Glittering Wish is going to cost us a lot of mana to actually be able to cast. So what this does is Jeskai Ascendancy makes all of our spells give us 2 mana back, which is great. So that means Glittering Wish will effectively be free now. And then casting this Glittering Wish, again, is going to solve our card bottleneck issue, because casting Glittering Wish means that we get to go ahead and fetch a copy of Scarscale Ritual out of our sideboard, which lets us draw 2 cards. So we get to use Glittering Wish as a divination, basically. I chose not to loot there because I kind of like all of the cards in my hand right now. Yeah, I do still have a land drop in the event that I end up behind on mana. That's true too. Again, I'm going to go ahead and decline these draws because I only have a finite number of cards in my deck, so I don't want to loot through things that I might want later. And now we're basically looking for another copy of Glittering Wish at some point, so that way we can get Flesh Blood to actually kill our opponent. And the fact that we're getting to steal game 1 here in a hard matchup means that hopefully post board we'll be able to steal one of the 2 post board games with a Leyline. So that's the hope, at least. So, again, the reason why I don't play Faithless Looting in this deck is on purpose. I've thought about this deck a lot. I've actually spent a lot of time playing this deck. I enjoy it a good deal. Faithless Looting is card disadvantage. Faithless Looting is not card neutral. So, Faithless Looting, while providing powerful card selection, puts you down on the total number of cards that you have access to, which is a big deal in this deck a lot of the time. A lot of the games where you're going off, your bottleneck isn't finding the right cards, it's having just enough total cards to continue comboing off with. Sorry if I'm not being too attentive to chat here. I have to make sure we click through and don't time out. This is going to be the last game of the morning, Paracel, the last match. So we're currently heading into the sideboarding portion, maybe. Thank you, Magic Online. All right, so silence is pretty bad here. These 4 ley lines are excellent. Hey, BrainX Frozen, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people producing content on Twitch right now, so thanks for supporting mine this month with that. I do appreciate it. Oh, yeah, that's true, Cheesy, but because I wasn't bottlenecked on mana, I think it's worth it to just not loot aggressively to potentially lose good cards. I think Visions from Beyond is a win more card. Most of the time you have 20 or more cards in your discard pile, you're winning the game anyways. So Op's an easy cut, the 2 silences are easy cuts. I just trim another, like, Cerulean Wisps here. That's probably not unreasonable. I guess I could trim Manamorphose. Cerulean Wisps is cheaper to cast and easier to cantrip with. Yep, exclamation point help shows you all the commands that exist on my channel. I can maybe see trimming a Noxious Revival too. Although this is pretty good when they destroy my Ascendancy, so maybe not. That was the other list that somebody posted, cut Noxious Revival. Noxious Revival is really good in this deck in my experience. In addition to randomly enabling... God... This hand's like really good against discard spells, right? I'm pretty sure this is a sneep. I don't like the punt command because a bunch of people spamming exclamation point punt when I make a mistake isn't constructive or helpful. And my goal for the chat on my stream is to allow people to be constructive and helpful and contribute something. What's also really funny about this deck is we can actually just cast Leyline of Sanctity. I've definitely ended up winning games because I just like cast Leyline on turn 3 or 4. I'm gonna get a Temple Garden here, especially since I just drew that. Did you consider Glorious End or Days Undoing or other? No, can't say that I have. How's it going? We are 3-1 in this league, and we're up a game in this last match. Yeah, I'm just gonna get all my mana into play here. Just gonna get Sylvan Caryatid into play, get Birds of Paradise into play. I don't think... Sometimes they have like an Anger of the Gods in their sideboard, but I think that's fine. Yeah, they mulliganed to 5 this game, Rogue. The Godless Shrine is actually pretty important on their side because it means if they have a copy of something like Wear Chair or Engineer Explosives, they can put it out, they can kill our Ascendancy with it. What are the top 3 formats I've played in any card game? I don't know, fan. It's kind of a complicated question. I think Modern's probably number 1. Hearthstone's current standard format is kind of excellent. That is a, yeah, that's a thing. So usually they don't play a ton of copies of Wear Chair, so I'm just going to go ahead and get Ascendancy and flip it into play here. I think there's not any reason not to. If I had one more land tier, obviously it would be great because we could combo this turn, but I think just like sticking the Ascendancy into play and then hoping to combo next turn is very reasonable. How much better is a pro than the average MTGO player? I don't know. I think, and you also have to like determine what do you mean by like pro player, right? Like, do you just mean like average idiot playing on a Pro Tour or a Star City Games event or a Grand Prix, like, I think there's a strong argument to be made that, like, the top 1% or the top 0.5% or some top echelon of players is much better than the average person that plays on Magic Online or at your local game store or even in Opens and Grand Prix. But, like, the average or median player that plays Magic Online or an Open or a Grand Prix, I think the skill level of those players is all very similar when you're looking at the median or the average player. Is there an upside to cast it this turn over next turn? Yes, my opponent has way more discard spells in their decks than they do Wear Tear. Yeah, the opponent's deck has way more discard than Wear Tear. So, like, if we get Wear Tear, it's like, man, that sucks. But, like, you know, they don't have a lot of copies of that. Hey, thank you very much, Equin, for the 8-month resubscription. I do appreciate that. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and slide this Abundant Growth onto here and then get going. We definitely don't have a ton of great tools in my hand right now, so we're definitely in a position where if we draw a little bit bad here, we could brick off and die, so the opponent should definitely make us click through it at this point. We're in a favorable spot, but we're not in a we definitely can't lose spot just yet. The second Ascendancy should go a long way towards meaning we can't lose, though. So at this point, again, I've been talking constantly during the stream about identifying bottlenecks while playing this deck. Our bottleneck right now is definitely the number of cards that I have in my hand. So I'm looking for Glittering Wishes and nagging Thoughts, ways to get ahead on total cards that I have in my hand. Perfect. All right, so the Nagging Thoughts probably means we're going to be home free here. Yeah, that double Nagging Thoughts should lock this up nice and tight. Nice and tight. I just have so much mana at this point that it just, like, doesn't even really matter. It's like, make whatever colors I want. I think this deck is very good for reference. I got off of this deck because I think I stopped playing this deck a bunch because I think, like, the decks that people are putting Jeskai, like Jeskai and Bloodbraid Elf, those types of decks that people started playing when Bloodbraid Elf and Jace got unbanned, I think those decks tend to be pretty good against this deck, but I think you have the tools to win most matches, and I think your average, what's the word I'm searching for? Your average whatnot is pretty reasonable, your average draw. This bird is really swole. You're not wrong. This bird is super pumped. You play around Path and get access to Flesh Blood? Yes, definitely. I'm definitely going to play around everything. Just came in time just to see you comboing off with JAC. Keep being awesome doing the thing. Thank you, Zelgotha. Thanks for the 8-month resubscription. 2/3 of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. This is the tail end. So this is going to be my last game of the day, folks. So enjoy the ride while we sit here and hammer our opponent into the ground. But I'm going to be signing off after this. Are you moving from a 3-2 stream to a 4-1 stream? Because I don't know how I feel about that. That's a good question. It's a good question. It could be a slower fatal push. 10 out of 10. I can also do this now, which is nice. Which just, like, confirms that they don't. You can, like, we can confirm that they're auto-passing by doing stuff like that. Again, it's like have enough mana that, like, diddling them and undiddling them really doesn't matter. All right, an opponent. Yeah, I would take this deck turn open. I think it's a lot of fun. I think, and a big thing, and I talk about this in decks in Modern like this all the time. Like, we beat humans in this league, and we actually came really close to beating Burn, which was our loss in the first round. Even when decks like this have hard matchups, the fact that this deck can Goldfish a turn 2 kill is a really, really big deal. I don't think you need Grape Shot. I think Grape Shot's a card that's bad when you're not comboing, and you just want maximum number of cards to combo. We finished 4-1. We lost to Burn in the first match, and it was really close. It would definitely be a little bit tedious to play. I'm gonna get a link really quick. Where's the link? All right, so I wrote about this deck in January of this year. The sideboard has changed a little bit, but this article kind of explains the deck. It explains the things you're looking for, the things you're looking to do if you want to learn more about this combo deck. You can also find lots of videos of this deck on my YouTube channel. Like I said, I kind of was infatuated with this deck at the start of the year, so I played it a ton. As for feedback on this 75, this is my 75. Someone donated and said, hey, play Ascendancy. It's been a while. Build the deck how you would build it. I actually really like this 75. Like I said, basically, there's very little bullshit and fluff. Yeah, I guess it is actually pretty cheap if you cut Noble Hierarchs, right? And if you wanted to make the deck cheaper by not playing Noble Hierarch, you can actually, the Misty Rainforest, 2 of these are optional as well. Flooded Strand and Misty Rainforest are the exact same fetch land in this deck. So if you wanted to cut Noble Hierarch for budgetary reasons, you could play a 4th opt and a 17th land. But, so this deck, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Watch more videos on it. I'm taking off, folks. I'm going to publish some videos on YouTube here really quick, and then I'll be back about 7 hours from now. I'll be back tonight. So I'm going to get some work done between now and then on other non-streaming stuff, and I'll see you this evening, folks.